In the last lesson, I told you that you already have the knowledge needed to create a basic to-do app. So I thought, why not try it myself? So that's what I'm going to do. I have here created a basic HTML document. I'm going to call it to-do app. At first, I'm going to create the elements I have. So we will need an input of type text. Okay, and here the user will type the to-do they want to create. Of course, we need to add a button. So when they click this button, we add the to-do to a list. Okay, so we need to create that list, of course. So we have an unordered list, and we will create list element to every to-do task. Okay, so this will be to-do task 1, to-do task 2, etc. Okay, of course, we need to select these elements with JavaScript. So I'm going to add IDs. Here we have the input. I'm going to add an ID here called button, and an ID here called list, for example. Great. I'm going to add the script tag here in the head, and I'm going to do it in this file, so I don't need to create a new file. As you know, when this script runs, these elements are not created, so we need to add a document, add event listener, DOM content loaded, and then pass a function. In this case, going to be to do app. Okay, so we are going to create this function right here called to do app. We're going to declare it, and it's just going to say console log working. Okay, so we know it's working. Great. When we refresh, it's working our function. We know everything is working as expected. The first thing we need to do is to select all those elements, the input, so we can get the text they are adding here, the button, so we can add an event listener, so when they click we get this value and we store it in the unordered list, and so we also need to get that list. Okay, so I'm going to say const input is going to be equal to document dot get element by ID. The ID is input, and semicolon here. I'm going to copy paste it, pressing Alt and Shift and the arrow to the down arrow, and I'm going to select input, Control D, so it selects the next text that has the same value, and I'm going to change it for button, and the same here, double click, Control D or Command D, and change this for list. Okay, this way we can code faster. Okay, so here we are. Sorry, my keyboard changed it to English. No, sorry. Okay, I'm going to add here a comment. So get HTML elements. Great. Now, the first thing is to add an event listener. So when we click this button, when the user clicks this button, is when we want the program to work. Right? Is when we want to get this value and store it. Okay, so button, add event listener. The event listener is going to be click, and we are going to run this function. Okay, so like this. In this case, I'm going to say console.log, and I'm going to say here click. Okay, so every time I click, it's working as expected. In this case, what I want to get when I click is I want to get the value that is inside here. When you use an input, you don't use a text value. Okay, you use what is called value. So we get the input dot value, and if I console log, you see we are getting this value. So I need to buy something. Okay, so we are gathering it. Now we need to get this and store it in the unordered list. So what we are going to do is first we need to create an HTML element. This is the only thing we haven't covered here. Okay, so I'm going to create a list item. You can name it however you want, or to do item, for example. And I'm going to say document, because we are doing something to the document, create element like this. Okay, and in this case it's going to be, we have here all the elements we can create: h1, h2, h3, header, HTML, iframe, everything. Okay, in this case it's going to be a list element. So we are creating this element. Now we have a list element item, which is just this. Okay, this is what we are creating in JavaScript, only this, and we need to add this value inside it. Okay, so this value will go right there inside. Okay, so we're going to say to do item dot text content is equal to input dot value. Okay, if we console dot log that to do item, you will see it. Okay, so we have here some random name, and we have the same, I told you, the list item with this to-do task. Okay, so I add it, and we have it here. Okay, great. This is what we are now going to add to the HTML document. And where are we going to add it? We're going to add it inside the unordered list. So we have the list. This list, remember, is the unordered list because we are selecting it here by the ID, and it's right here. So we're going to get the list and append child. Which child we are going to append? Child is because it's inside, it's a child. Okay, so here, this list item is a child of the unordered list because it's inside. Okay, that's what it's called, a child. Okay, so that's what we are going to do here. We're going to append the to-do item, and as you can see, now we have a buy groceries, for example, add to do, and we already have it here. So we have a Kairos course. Okay, and it's working, but now we can improve it a little bit. For example, we can delete this value so it restores it. Okay, so because now if I want to add a new to do, I have to delete it myself and say play games, and I have to delete it again. So we can do that very simple. We can get the input value is equal to empty. Now if I say go shopping, add it, it's deleted automatically. That's great. I'm going to delete this console log. Oh, I don't know what I did. I'm going to delete this console log. Okay, so we are getting we are creating a to-do item. This creates the li item. We are creating this. Then we are adding the text content the same as the input value, which is right there. Then we are appending that to-do item to the unordered list. So we are adding this input value right here. We are adding it here. We are then appending it inside the UL, and then we are removing the value that is in the input. And we can even improve it. We can do this. For example, when we append this, we can say, okay, to do item, add event listener. So we can add an event listener to that item inside this event listener. Okay, so we can combine them. And in this case, it's going to be the click event listener. And what we're going to do is to run this function, which is going to be to do item dot remove right here. This is a function, so we have to execute it. What this does is, okay, so I have task 1, buy groceries. I don't know if it's spelled like this. Of course, English is not my main language. What's course, etc. And now these elements, all of them have an event listener. So if I click on buy groceries, it's deleted. If I click on task 1, it's deleted. If I click on watch course, it's deleted. But we can improve it even more, because now what should happen, I think, when we click add to do and there is nothing, there is no value, it's being added. Okay, we can delete them, but we are adding empty to-dos. So for this, we can add an if statement right here before everything and check if the input value, we have to check if input value is different. Okay, so we add an exclamation mark, an equal character. Okay, and if we put this together, it checks if it is not equal to an empty string. If it is not equal to an empty string, so it has something inside, then we're going to add this code inside. Okay, we check if the input value is not empty. Okay, so these two characters together, an exclamation mark and an equal mark. Then if they are not an empty string, then we create the list item, add the text, the input value to the text content. We append it to the list, okay, which we are getting here, the ID list, the unordered list, and then we add an event listener. So when they click, it's a remove, and we empty the input value. In fact, we can, at the moment we add it here, we don't need it anymore, so we can delete it. Now, if I try to add an empty to do, it's not working. In fact, I could add an else statement, else, which says console, for example, console.log, add some text, okay, like this. Like this. Okay, so if I try to add an empty value, it says add some text. If I add a value like task, then it creates it and it deletes it from here. So I can add here by watch course, subscribe to Kairos, leave a like, and I can delete all of them. So it's that simple. We have a basic to-do list app with all the basic functionalities. You can create data, you can store it in an ordered list, and you can even delete it. These are the basic functionalities of any web program.